Live in a rental for over a year without paying rent? Good luck in jail. This has all been finalized, so I decided to post it. For obvious reasons, I didn't want to post it while it was ongoing. Last summer I bought a house trailer and decided to rent it out. It needed some work, so I posted 2 months free rent for putting carpet down in the living room, hooking up the hot water heater and putting in a toilet. Got a nice couple with a newborn willing to do it. Great. No lease. Month to month. No security deposit, and the rent was $450 a month. So they did the work, so I didn't ask for rent for 2 months. Everything was fine. Side note, there are a few little state laws that come into play. If you don't pay rent for 3 consecutive months, you are considered a squatter, which means the landlord doesn't have to fix the property and can actually padlock it and deny you entry. If you're on house arrest and get formally evicted, you could be violated for it. Also, you can be formally evicted even if you have already moved out, so the landlord can get rent due. Also, even though there are eviction bans, if it happened before the ban, then it can still go through. Plus a few other conditions that still allow someone to be evicted. It's up to the judge, really. Fast forward 5 months and still no rent money. Yes, they had a newborn and they were young and didn't have a lot of money. But the husband can spend $1,500 on a new engine for his project car. They can afford to go out to eat and spend money on electronics. But no rent. So after that 3rd month I did nothing. The weather was turning cold. I didn't put in the furnace like I promised, and if they hadn't had a newborn I would have padlocked the house. They were bragging about their tax refund. I gave them a shot to catch up, and they basically said that they knew their rights and were in a rent strike. Illegally, I might add. You will see later. COVID happened. Husband got laid off, so I gave them a break. When he went back to work, I asked for back rent again and was told to fuck off. I finally had enough. I told them they had 14 days to get out, or I was doing a formal eviction, and seeing he was on house arrest, he knew what that meant. I honestly was trying to keep him from having to go back to jail and keep an eviction off of their record. I was trying to be nice and civil. So they left and I cut my losses. Until I checked the property. Everything they put in there removed. Everything they got free rent for was gone. I got pissed and filed for a formal eviction. It didn't go as they hoped. They said I didn't provide heat, so they went on a rent strike. Only they didn't file that with the courts or hold the money aside. They just thought they could stop paying rent. What they put into the trailer was less than the rent. The judge agreed with me that seeing they took everything I was due, those 2 months rent. And the biggest, he started slamming my character, so I said, well, you didn't tell me you were going to be going on house arrest when you rented the property. Before then the judge looked bored. But he perked up. He asked them if that was true. They responded that it was, and he was ready to make his ruling. I received 15 months back rent at $450 a month and $2,000 in damages because the way they removed the stuff, they damaged a lot of things. As for him, the judge said he had no choice but to turn the eviction over to his parole officer. Fast forward to this month. His house arrest was violated and he was arrested. They actually had the nerve to ask me to speak on his behalf. I didn't. Ruling was his remaining 6 months are now being spent in jail. They have a bad eviction on their record and they owe me money. Know the law before you play the game. TLDR, squatters lived over a year rent-free. Husband ends up in jail. Update. I forgot to add that social media blasted my like I was the scum of the earth. This is indeed ProRevenge. You gave them every opportunity to be decent. You allowed them multiple chances to square things up. You were quite content with the minimum and they absolutely insisted on acting like idiots. That poor baby. That's pretty funny that instead of going to the court and putting rent in escrow, they thought you could just not pay it. I bet someone told them, if your landlord refuses to do repairs, you don't have to give them rent or something. Which is true to an extent, but you still have to give it to the court every month. So they decided not to pay because you didn't put in heat. They already weren't paying before that. Serious question. What was he expecting you to say on his behalf at the parole violation hearing? You absolutely should have spoken with the PO when you were invited to. Tell them exactly what happened. Nothing in the world infuriates me more than squatters' rights stories. How people get away with it boggles my mind. I'm so happy yours worked out this way. I hope you get the money. What happened to them was fair. They were squatters and they knew they were gonna get dinged for stuff if they lost in court. Do the crime. Do the time. You should have spoken on his behalf. Tell the world what a deadbeat boss he is. No. Get your money. You don't want property of theirs instead. Too much bad juju. You'll end up spending more money to sell the thing. You should have gone to speak when he asked you to. Just not on his behalf. That might have qualified as nuclear revenge.
Bravo.
That would be nice if you could see any of that money. This is absolutely the best. I don't understand people who do that mess. That is basically the dream. Fixing up a place in turn of not paying rent? Even for 2 months. Hell yay. I would definitely do that. And do a damn good job too. As a landlord myself, you cut them way too much slack. Hard lessons stick the longest. You sound like a pretty great landlord. Also, where in the shit do you live where you can rent a place to a family for $450 a month? I couldn't rent a damn suitcase where I am for $450.
I wish dipshits wouldn't have children.
Hope you can get something out of them. I have a useless judgment in some tenants that skipped state after not paying for 4 months. I do have typically negative feelings about landlords. But ultimately you sounded like a decent guy that got strung along by these people. They played a stupid game, kept pushing the boundary, and then got what was coming to them when they didn't stop. Social media man. It's easy to form an opinion when only half a story is told. And who wants to portray themselves as the asshole? I always try to keep an open mind when I read someone's sob story or provoking story about who did what and they need to be dealt with yada yada. With unlimited technology at our fingers came the price of making masses of people ignorant as hell. $450 doesn't sound difficult to hit. I'd happily rent from you, if I could afford to move out of Cali.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.